This is the third game that you just saw. We're going to do a quick NOS performance replay on it. A couple really cool things about this game that I want to really illustrate on this NOS performance replay are going to be Life's use of speeding. So it all starts here when Life actually, if we can have the observer zoom over to Life's side of the map where there is that the bunker rush is going on to Reapers, and we just play this through maybe ×2 speed. One thing that's cool is he uses this spine crawler here. And the spine crawler, he doesn't need that spine crawler to defeat the bunker, but as the game goes forward, it provides so much utilization and zoning the Reapers from coming into this natural, which allows them to only worry about defending the section where they can jump into his main. If you only have to worry about that one defense, that means he won't be losing Zerglings, taking queen damage while he's defending that Reaper Assault. That allows him to get that speed up and build up that giant force of speedings. As we can see here, if we fast forward about 1 to 2 minutes in the future, once Life does get that speed, he hides a significant amount of speedings, and all of a sudden, they come out by surprise and take out all the Reapers and Hellions that Polt has trying to work that contain on Life. So many Zerg players are really struggling with Terran right now in Heartless Swarm because Terran has map control for most of the game. Early on with the Reapers and Hellions, we can see here Life takes that map control away. And the Terran can't regain that map control until the medevacs come out and play. As long as Zerg has that map control, they can then spread the creep, which allows them to have a much stronger mid-game going forward. Life then again uses these speedings on the aggression, sees if he can get anything done, checks to see if the Widow Mines are there, they are, there's Marines behind, can't get an attack done there. But throughout the game, he continues to make such great use of those speedings. We can see it again if you can fast forward, actually jump to about the 20-minute mark here, or perhaps the 21-minute mark. What happens is basically, we can actually probably just see if I can jump up forward there. There we go. What he does is he always uses those speedings when he has the map control. He knows there's no medevacs on his side of the map because the creeps spread so far out and great over coverage. He can then utilize them aggressively instead of having to always be back and defending those drops. When he can utilize those speedings aggressively, Polt has to be so careful about pushing down the map. He can't just walk out in the middle because, as we saw here near the end, as soon as Polt tries to move out in the middle, this force can so easily counterattack at a third base. Yes, Polt has that nice little one with the depots and everything, but that can only do so much if there's that many speedings about. We can also see Life actually invested very early in upgrades, so he had 2-2 speedings before Polt had the 2-2 Marines, make them much more effective at those run-bys and those small Marine engagements. We can see here he's going to utilize the Banings to break down this depot wall. If we can fast forward just a little bit more to about the 21-minute mark, I think is where it really happens. Polt tries to make that move out, which is what Terrans want to do right before the hive tech of the Zerg kicks in. Unfortunately, Polt can't just rush across the map because of the great creep spread of Life. And if Polt is taking his time across the map, that means Life has a lot more time to launch a counterattack, draw Polt back, and then back away and get time to get the hive tech. We can see here stolen attack with infestors, and then of course the speeding and mutants can circle around the top here, and they're going to go straight to that third base. Sensor tower or not, with Polt's forces are all in the bottom section, that third base is going to be forfeit. And even, I mean, he's doing critical damage here, but even without doing the damage, the key thing he's doing here is buying time to get his hive tech into play, then fasters the Broodlords. Then of course, the economic damage is done. The Broodlords come out. Polt knows he's in trouble against hive tech with basically only 2 bases running. He's forced a GG. Great use of speedings throughout that game by Life has really led him to the victory. But enough of the NOS performance replay. We're done with that. Let me throw it back to the casters to get you into game number 4.
Thank you, Nick. You know, I really like that point that Nick made again and again about the fact that with all the vision coverage he had and with the way the early game went, he knew there were no medevacs on his side. And that's completely unusual when you contrast that with every other Terran vs. Zerg game we've seen. Most Zergs have not attacked ever once.
Yeah, they felt like, I think even Stefano tweeted, they felt like they just can't even move out of their base whatsoever. So I gotta say, Life really showing us he's kind of figured it out just a little bit, but definitely don't count out Polt just yet. Of course, we have seen way bigger upsets and way bigger comebacks than what we're about to see right here, right now. The map is going to be Star Station. And Sean, do you have any thoughts about the map Star Station in this map? Matt, oh, it actually loaded super quick there.
Wow. Wow, efficiency coming up. Let's go ahead and introduce our players down in the bottom left-hand corner. Every single Zerg has struggled against drop-heavy play except for him. Can he win this series in this match? From Team StarTale, it is Life.
All right. Alrighty, and up in the top right side, again, we are still here super late. We got the awesome super late night crowd. They are the absolute best. That was pretty good, but I want you guys to make a lot more noise. Give it up for Polt. There we go. Everyone's waking up a little bit. Now, Sean, I'm going to totally ask you a question that I wasn't leading into just a second ago. What do you think about Star Station and TVZ?
Star Station is really good for counterattacks and biomine play. There's 1,000,001 different attack paths. I mean, if you try to go just regular bio tank, you're going to have a really, really, really bad time because there's so many Ling Muta counterattack paths that are just gross. So I really think that it's going to be straight Muta Ling versus Biomine. I think anything else would be quite weak. I actually think that this is a perfectly fine map to go for a much more standard Reaper expand on.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see that at all, especially considering we got the barracks and the gas coming down. Utilizing the Reapers in the early game versus Zerg is basically the de facto way to do it. We did see that a lot with TBT as well. It's just a very robust unit. And sometimes you see it versus Protoss, but once that Stalker comes out, there's not a whole lot you can do with that Reaper. Unlike versus Zerg, who, I mean, yeah, they might get roaches, but they're very slow. Their range is very weak, so they still can't even really catch up to those Reapers. We do have the Expand first coming out here for life right now. Going for gas first once again. And Sean, as you're watching this develop with the gas first, the expansion first, are we thinking, once again, a very heavy Ling-based play?
I mean, what I really think is happening is Life is, yeah, basically saying, okay, well, it worked in game 1. It worked in game 3. I just got to get a lot of speed Lings in that early mid stage.
Yeah.
And then that'll allow me to get my third, get my ups, get my macro hatch, and most importantly, wrap it up with the Mutalisk. So
we're going with yes.
So yeah, yes. Mike, That's what I think.
The Overlord now going to be scouting out towards the north here. We do see the Walling going to be completing up for Polt right now. And continuing with that gas right there. So that's not going to be... Well, he does have the first Reaper right here. Going to be following it up with a second Reaper. And I'm kind of curious to see if he actually does any damage here. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but they're pretty far apart.
Yeah, I mean, in this spot, you're not really intending to do a ton of damage. You're intending to contain as you expand. So I genuinely like the idea of this sort of play as this hip-hop music comes on in to join us in this match.
Got the elevator music coming on up as we do have the double queens now on the way, as the Reapers here are going to continue their harassment as is to be expected right now. And looks like the bunker there is going to get delayed. The Zerglings managing to take out the SCV right away. And again, they're so far apart, you can't reinforce this with another SCV unless he's just silly. Which he's not. He's not silly, he's Polt.
That's actually okay what's happening in Polt right now. In the last game, he went barracks straight into factory. In this game, he went for barracks straight into that command center. And now he's going for the factory. So really what he's going to be going for is that infamous Reaper Hellion.
All right, we do have more Zerglings on the way.
Why is music playing? That's what we want to know.
It's
and we're
so
just
good.
Dancing. Yeah, by the way, when we're not casting, we basically take off most of our clothes.
That's how it goes. Thankfully, the secret is safe with us. Oh, that got the audience pretty excited. But we do see the Reapers now going to continue harassing. And yes, they will get more rambunctious the later it gets, and so shall we. Polt right now, to a complete noob, Sean. It looks like Life is just way ahead because of the supplies. What's actually happening?
Life's in a comfortable position, but Polt's going for a different timing. Before, he was going for more and more Hellions, more and more Reapers. Oh my god, all the Reapers got taken out. The Hellion count is actually non-existent. This is about as bad as the situation Polt's been in the early game in terms of pressure. However, in this position, we see the Polt is going for a different type of timing. He's instead trying to add on more Hellions, get Stim earlier, and then he'll follow up with Medivacs to try to do a broad ground push and hopefully catch his opponent off guard. But I mean, Life looks more than prepared for all of this.
Is actually going to delay that bunker. There is no SCV building. It's just sitting there nearly completed, sparking everywhere. It's just totally a fire hazard. That's okay. The Hellions right now kind of chilling out up there. Is he actually going to finish that bunker, or is it just going to...
I think he wants that bunker at 90%, so that way he can do the infamous insta-salvage.
Nice. Also knows a cancel, and he's going to finish it right there. And the supply depot goes down, so he's going to be turtling here just a little bit. 3 Marines inside, 2 more on the way. The Widow Mines being produced here, the Starport on the way. So right now I just feel like Polt, he doesn't have a whole lot of momentum here, but what are your thoughts about this opener he's doing? He's getting a lot of tech here.
Oh my god, Life is going straight for Roach attack and Roach carapace, this is the perfect answer to this sort of pressure. The only thing that's really going to mess him up is if Polt gets a lot more barracks and begins dropping. The only dropping that Polt can do right now is small scale drops.
Yeah, and he's got to just try and make that work. We haven't seen him be able to do all that much here. The Widow Mine's moving out. The Lair Tech now has begun. And Sean, what is that Lair Tech for? Is it going to be for Roach upgrades? Oh, that poor Lord. Oh, a second one.
Oh, that's actually fantastic. I mean, now there's basically 2 mine duds if you are. I mean, if you're the Zerg, you're just not that worried about it at this point. I mean, oh, look at this. Spore Crawler at the front, a cutesy play. Expansion will take some damage. It's not a huge deal. Can't really kill that off with any speed at all. So it looks like it will be Roach speed, Overseer, shove at the front, and suddenly if you're in Polt's shoes, you're really not able to do any sort of attack. You're worried about some sort of big swing of Roaches killing you off.
I kind of like that. I noticed the little thing Polt was doing there was trying to focus down the egg. It looked like it would have taken about 3 or 4 volleys to kill that. Then you still get the exact same splash damage on the hatchery. Not that you're going to kill the hatchery, but
the Spore Crawler waltzing up on up.
Spore Crawler actually going to be able to spot that there. Not often do you see this, but you do late night at MLG.
A nice play there by Life, taking it out.
People like the reference to how late it actually is.
Indeed. It's 12:30. Our parents would be so mad if they found out we weren't asleep.
But Mom, I'm at MLG. I'm casting.
But Mom, it's my job. I can't pay rent unless I work.
We do have the 3 Zerglings going to be moving out right now. Not going to be able to do all that much as that wall-in is complete. A couple Hellions chilling out there at the watchtower. What is that Queen attacking? Queen's attacking something. Oh, the medevac.
Oh, it's a medevac.
Might actually be able to get it. A lot of darts being thrown up, and the Widow Mine detonates. Oh, the splash damage kills the medevac.
Splash damage? Are you serious? Oh, man, everything's going terribly for Polt, and it looks like Life has decided that now is the time to strike. He is making only Roaches. He's at 14, 9 more in production, 10 more in production. I bet you that arc, he will not be unheld anytime soon, Mike.
I definitely love the use of the Spore Crawler here to spot those Widow Mines. I don't think I've ever seen that. Very creative. Doesn't even need to make an Overseer if he doesn't want to. He will need one, though, for this Assault because he wants to be able to spot that high ground. That Siege Tank is very vulnerable. The Bunker even more vulnerable. That's just kind of... there's 2 bunkers. It's because he wants to secure the 3rd base. He sees the Ling right now, and this may be the timing that Life has waited for, is the securing of that 3rd base. And right now, it's not very secure, because there's a lot of Roaches heading out, so he has to defend here absolutely perfectly.
No combat shield stim is done. A lot of Roaches beginning to work their way up. There's 28 Roaches on the field. Jeez, a lot of Roaches are about to swing up on into the front. And it looks like the Siege Tanks will do incredible work.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Polt destroys that.
Has to be careful though, a lot of Roaches can still focus down this bunker. The one bunker actually burning down here. God, they burn down so fast. Those guys inside are like, are we going to put this out or no? The SCV, nope. Explodes right in front of his face. Does manage to get in. The Roaches could actually put some pressure on the Orbital. Deciding to go for the workers themselves. He's at a nice angle here because the Siege Tank is going to have to move a little bit closer here, which is going to give those Roaches more time. Taking out some of the Marines. Overall units lost is about the same here. And kind of curious on the unit tab. 65 drones, 53 SCVs. Can he do too much here with these Roaches at this point?
I mean, right now, Life remains in utter control of this match. That move was really weak. Those 3 Siege Tanks ripped them down. Oh, man, look at that unit's lost. Polt, who had lost so much, is now ahead.
Yeah, I got to say that move command there was not the best. I mean, I think he thought he had more time than he actually did, as that army did get sandwiched up against that wall, which is definitely not going to be a good situation for him whatsoever. The creep spread is continuing here for Life, which is something that he's been using to great effect throughout these games. He's going to have to continue doing that. We do have a lot of Lings now out for Life, but he just doesn't feel like he has as much stuff as he did in the last game.
Yeah, Life is not dominating this game so much. I mean, Polt made a really nice identification that he needed to be a very defensive, went straight for the tanks, which honestly I feel like players have been neglecting, of course with the exception of Bomber. People are a little bit mine crazy, medevac crazy, but a good old-fashioned tank is good for defense. But keep in mind, in terms of attacking, this is one of the worst maps to go for bio-tank because of all the push angles. You don't really have a clearly good one. There's wide angles to pull any sort of counterattack. Maybe against Roach Hydra, it's a little bit better, but any amount of Lings that we see out of Life can just slip right into that 3rd uncontested.
Yeah, now what I'm kind of wondering here is he is working on the spines there for the Hydralisk make them a little bit more effective when grouped with roaches. But he's also working on the +1 melee here. So is the fact that he went, oh, we have a drop over here that is going to get denied. But does the fact that he went for range and armor upgrades first, is that going to hurt him here, or can he make Roach Hydra work?
I mean, Roach Hydra, we've seen Rhett be able to pull it off in terms of defense against Flash, but I mean, that's just for defense. You still need some way to be able to bust down your opponent's front, and we see another engagement as these Hydralisks. Will they be able to, barely can't take out that medevac, but still bringing it down in health-wise. Polt stepping up to the watchtowers. Tank count getting huge at 6. Will likely be at 10 by the time he moves out. Having the speed Hydralisk, I mean, they were still on creep, so they wouldn't have been able to intercept that medevac either way. But remember, once that upgrade is done, the Hydras are much quicker off of the creeping. Basically keep them grouped up with those roaches much easier. You can get on top of those siege tanks much easier, but you also have to remember that the Hydras themselves only have 80 HP. No sign of 3-3 on the way for our Zergs, which means the upgrades are basically tied here as the 2 armor are going to be finishing up in just a second for Polt right now. But the supply is taking a look. 191 for Zerg, 166 for Terran, but nowhere near a supply block. Good upgrades on the way here for his siege tanks as well. So is sticking with siege tank Marine Marauder, is that going to be viable here moving past the 16-minute mark? It's going to be nearly impossible to get a good attack angle. Maybe these new speed medevacs are the key to opening those attack angles up. Life is all on the defensive, and the tanks can sprint cross-map, deny any sort of counterattacks. But here we see the watchtower being held by Life in easy control of this. Life now actually beginning to move straight up and confront this army head-on. He needs to pull back. The medevac drop is going to do some serious hurt along the left side. That is a lot of Roach Hydra right now, which basically is comparable to the DPS of Marine and Marauder, but once you make it to the siege tank, the splash damage is almost unstoppable. It does look like a nice swing around over here, not able to kill off the medevac. This is where Polt's going to get a little bit of momentum. He can start doing a lot more drops now. The Vipers are not out yet, but once they are out, they will have to consume a building to get that extra energy. There is going to be a drop over here. It does get locked down once again. It is still viable, though. The siege tank positioning here is going to be so tough to deal with. Does he decide to go for it? Yes, he does. The siege tank's up front, not quite siege yet. The fungal's pretty good. That offense is going to get taken out right away, but it does look like he's going to try and push up here. The Roaches absorb the majority of the splash damage. The Hydras might actually be able to break through. Can he do it? The siege tank on the high ground, not going to be able to do enough DPS. Actually, yes, they are right at the last second. The last couple volleys were just enough. Blinding Cloud would have been so vital in that battle. Yeah, the Blinding Cloud, the deal breaker in that spot. He needs to throw down some of those Blinding Clouds to be able to get up that expansion. Abducts, not the right choice. The tanks still take out the expansion, and the main taking massive hits. Polt might be able to pull this one off. Yeah, the main base right now under attack. Those did get cleaned up. Minimal damage-ish there, so Spinecrawler was able to assist right there. But now that the Vipers are out, is there enough ground army to actually be able to utilize them? Well, the supplies are looking good. 25 Roaches and 21 Hydralisks. That's actually a lot of units considering how much he ended up losing right there. So even though he's slightly behind in the units lost tab, he's got his upgrades rolling again. 3-3 at about the same time for both these players here. So we'll have to wait and see if that actually does make a difference. And he denied the drop. So Polt here is struggling a little bit as he attempts to expand, I would assume, because he's got some long-distance mining going on. What is up with that, actually? He could be mining at that planetary. Kind of confused. Yeah, there's a really weird misclick going on from Polt's workers up at the top left. But right now, as Polt's heading up, a Blinding Cloud is about to really mess up this Marine Marauder's day. But the Viper 1 gets taken out immediately, and the siege tanks up on the high ground are in fantastic position. The siege tanks rip down a huge chunk of that Roach Hydra. Polt will be forced to retreat, but there were some massive losses in that army for Life. A stem run by down here in the center, but unfortunately running by nothing and directly into those Roaches. And if he would have got a Blinding Cloud on the siege tanks, I think that would have been much easier for him to clean up right now. But Life's still going to be in the lead overall, managing to even up the resources lost here. It does look like Polt is now mining at that 4th base once again, but it definitely did hurt him here. But both players are sitting on a little bit of a stockpile. I'm kind of curious to see if Life is going to be going for something specific, maybe like Ultralisk, maybe Broodlords. He is getting the Vengeful Sacks on those Overlords, which is going to allow him to do drops. Doesn't have Overlord speed, though, so not sure how effective that's going to be. We do have the attack over here. Can he actually kill it off? The hatchery will be focused down, but the Roach Hydra just blasting away. 3 Ultras on the way here, so delaying that expansion is huge.
drop on the right side gets cleaned up.
Well, it looks like he's going to Blinding Cloud. Will he have enough energy to abduct? Barely no. That drop down in the bottom right side. You know, it's exactly what we saw in Ret versus Flash. This is great at dealing with these direct confrontation type armies, but how do you move out? You mess up even just a little bit, and it just seems impossible to step in.
Looks like the Sport Caller there down at the south, able to get off a couple of shots, but the Overlords unfortunately can't really do anything. They're just like, oh, hey guys, yeah, go ahead and drop over here. As it does look like that drop is going to be a minor success. Couple of Zerglings going to be counterattacking down here, but it does look like a full-on retreat with Life's units to deal with this drop. Might be able to get the spawning pool here. It's going to be tough, though. He'll most likely opt to save the Marines. And killing that off wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's the point in the game where Polt can start getting the upgrades you don't normally see in a game. Terran building armor and the high-sec auto-tracking going to make his defenses much more robust, which means he can be much more offensive.
And there's a single Hydros there trying to pick off, then it gets it. The main base, the drop gets cleaned up. Will the offensive at the right be able to get taken down? Ultros now stepping up into the mix on that creep. Polt just has to run.
Yeah, has to run absolutely here because the Roach Hydra count's starting to get a little bit out of control. Now the Ultralists themselves are starting to get in the mix. I don't think we've seen them in a major confrontation just yet, but you can see Life poising his units in a way where he's basically defending that expansion. His income is definitely suffering here, and not really deciding to mine on that right side base. Instead, just mostly full on defending his new base. And Polt right now got to be moving out and expanding to that expansion that he was long distance mining from before. As it looks like SCVs may be transferring down there. No, they're actually going to be building a lot of turrets here, so it seems like Polt just wants to kind of hang out right here and not move out, as he is maxed out. So I don't know what the benefit of his waiting, but that means that it is going to give time for Life to get the Greater Spire.
In this position, it's a very odd spot that Terrans don't really find themselves in. I mean, we do see those 3 starports going down in the middle of the map. Ordinarily, this would be to get a whole bunch of Vikings to deal with some sort of transition to Broodlords, and Terran would keep attacking. But because it's in Heart of the Swarm, and because the Zerg player's starting to chill down a little bit, a transition into Ravens or Battle Cruisers, both are very effective. But for the first time this game, it's looking like Life is going to be able to start making some real aggressive maneuvers with this Roach Hydra force. You're going to have to sit at home and defend. Abduct! Oh,
there we
no!
go! Those were absolutely full. Now, a little bit sacrificial because he does have some money in the bank here, but that just shows you the utility of just having 2 Vipers there. Able to kill those off. There is a minor attack over here on the right side. It is finally saturated, but I guess saturated at the wrong time now. Sport Caller working down those medevacs. Can he save the hatchery? Nope. It is out of here. That is now turning into some long-distance mining. Will be able to kill those off, but guess what? The army is now in position on the left side. This could be exactly the momentum that Polt needs. Can he kill off both these bases at once? That's really the last mining bastion for the Zerg, but no, that's not going to happen.
Oh, will he get more abducts off? It looks like, again, barely no. But that top left expansion is the critical spot, not the northern base. This is the perfectly entrenched position. And looks like Life realizes at the last second, decides to pull back.
There's the Blinding Cloud, though, which can turn a battle very decisively towards the Zerg's favor, because you got to remember that every unit in there only has a range of 1, which that includes Ultralists, man. They're still going to be doing a lot of damage right now, as he is going to attempt to clean this out. Now, the base up on the top left side, if that gets scouted, that is so dead, and that is one of the mining bases left for Polt. If you take a look here, really the Planetary is the only backup mining right now. He is attempting to secure another base here. Still going to be a little bit till the SCVs arrive.
This is one of the reasons why tanks are a little bit concerning in this position. There's not really much that they're clearly doing other than defending. It's all these little tiny Marine Marauder pokes repeatedly from Polt. But it looks like this shove at the right side is going to be very nicely timed. This is going to be a gone hatch.
Yep, and he has managed to kill this over and over again. That one just finishing up. Well, not for long. It's going to get taken out. That's a bad side of town. We do see the Ultras over here going to try and push up there. Forces a cancel. We'll begin reconstructing that right away. But, you know, this is exactly what Polt needs to do, is keep poking in, make sure the Zerg player has as few resources in the bank as possible. Then when the big engagement comes, if he can be cost efficient, there's not going to be an immediate max following that. Now, guess what? Battle Cruisers are on the way, which is actually a brilliant choice, I feel like, if he can manage to pull it off. These Ultras not going to stand a chance.
All right, if we go to the natural expansion of the Terran player, you do know what time it is, don't you? Observer, get there. No, go to the Fusion Core. Go up to the natural expansion, and the Fusion Core is rocking out so hard. And in the left position, it looks like an attempted pick by Polt has successfully... You know, I wanted to join in, but Polt killed an expansion, and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
That's right, Sean. There we go. We got Sean doing it now.
Yep. Fusion Core style. In the meantime, these players' tournament lives are on the line.
But isn't this fun, Sean?
It is. It is fun indeed. In the unit station, we see 16 Marines, 7 Marauders, 17 tanks about to be out. 5 battle cruisers, some Ravens, more command centers aplenty. What do you do as Life?
It's going to be tough because we saw in that Thorzane game just how effective Sky Terran can actually be. I mean, Sky Terran's so good, man. They give you free blankets, you get free Wi-Fi, full HD movies. They're the best.
Battle cruisers coming on in.
That's a lot of battle cruisers already. Can he get the Umadakan off? Here we go.
Oh,
looks like he is going to kill off the Broodlords very easily. And with the Swarmos, or not the Swarmos, excuse me, the Viper not really able to do anything there because the anti-air is severely lacking, but more are going to be joining in. I think he may have been too aggressive with these BCs. He's going to get them taken out. And the Ultralists, look at how much they're killing on the ground.
But I mean, there's no vulnerability here. I mean, Life will take out all of these units, but there's plenty of expansions running for Polt right now.
Yeah, and he definitely needs to start cutting into that income right now. The Corruptor is not serving much of a purpose. The Battlecruiser Viking Raven composition never able to get fully underway, so we may have to transition back into Marine Marauder Siege Tank, which means the Broodlords may have one hell of a time. As, are there any Broodlords left? I think it's only 2 on the field. It is only 2 right now.
Life needs to get organized. He needs those blinding clouds picking off some expansion. He can't just attack the production center because right now Polt is vastly outproducing Life. Polt stabilizing a little bit at a time. He's pulling back. He'll be re-sieging, and then Life is going to be forced to retreat again. Don't continue attacking. Life is sacrificing units and showing off the new physics in the game.
Blinding Cloud on those siege tanks, though, means that they can't do all that much. Nice little play there. And, oh no, excuse me, he actually used Corruption. It looks a very similar graphic. And the Seeker Missile. A little bit of damage, and the Stim chasing down. And you're right, Sean. Polt able to stabilize with that extra income he now has. He's starting to look like he might actually be able to take this into Game 5 if he can stay stabilized and make sure he micros very, very correctly here. Because the Fungals are on the way, could turn the tide, but it's going to be tough for Life.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really, really over-eager, over-ambitious attack. There's 2 expansions in the top left, 1 in the north, 1 at the right, 4 running bases, 7 bases total for the Terran player, and right now there's barely 2 for Zerg. Life had an opportunity to equalize that expansion count and neglected it, just got way too overexcited and went for the kill.
And all those SCVs are transferring over to that fresh base. And, you know, with the Planetary Fortress guarding the other expansion already, that is going to be a ridiculous amount of income. And we've seen, you know, a Zerg player can go a long, long time on 5 bases, but it might not be long enough if the Terran player is on far more. I mean, just look at the mini-map. There's just so much blue right now, as our red player Life going to have a hell of a time here, especially now that the macro is really starting to kick in for Polt. He just did a big wave of 10 Marines. Got to be able to take out this base once again. And there's the GG. We are going to be going to the ace match now. There's our late night audience. I think we should just always cut to them. They're the real troopers here. The 2 players, though, you can see the sweat running down. It is all down to this.
A dramatic last game there in game number 4. Polt on the brink of defeat all game long. Defended. Life noticeably frustrated. But keep in mind, at the Iron Squid Grand Finals, he was down 0-3 and came back 4-3. Whenever he is behind, he plays better. And now that it is on to the ace match, the amount of pressure he's under, no doubt we will see a stunning game number 5. Guys, stay tuned. The last match of the night is coming up.